Hello again, and thanks for staying with us. Special hello to our viewers from around the world joining us here for the 2024 edition of the Trinidad and Tobago Energy Conference. Again, this is happening here in Port of Spain, Trinidad at the Hyatt Regency Hotel. My name is Shelly Dass Manning, and I've been taking you through the last day, and we'll also be going through tomorrow, the 3-day duration of the conference. A lot of exciting happenings and developments, high impact panel discussions, a lot of key information coming in from top guests, including yesterday we heard from the Secretary General of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum, His Excellency Mohammed Hamil. We also heard from the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley. We heard from the Minister of Energy and Energy Industries, Stuart Young. We heard from the top executives of BPTT, Methanex, NGC, and many more. Well, joining us right now, we have two people who are no strangers to the profile of Trinidad and Tobago, but for our international viewers, I have with me here the president of the National Energy Corporation, National Energy, Dr. Vernon Paltu, very well known in the industry. And we also have the chairman of the National Gas Company, Dr. Joseph Khan. The National Gas Company, as many of you do know, is a highly profitable, high-performing state enterprise. The NGC Group is a diversified global conglomerate with over 30 companies. You may know some of them. Some of the subsidiaries include the National Energy Corporation, Phoenix Park Gas Processors, NGC CNG, TTNGL, Libidco, and more. And of course, Dr. Vernon Paltu has a very high profile across the region for some of the outreach and the efforts that he's been making, which we will get into in just a moment. I'll start with Dr. Khan. Dr. Khan, you assumed the chairmanship of NGC in 2022. Changes in leadership are always exciting things. When you came on board in 2022, all eyes and focus was on you. How do you think the group has performed under your leadership since 2022, since your arrival?
Well, good morning, and thank you for having me, and good morning to the listening audience virtually. How I feel? I feel nervous because, as you rightly said, all eyes are still on me. But in terms of the performance of the company, let me just make the point that even before I came to NGC, a lot was going on, and I think we would have had some good leadership also at the level of the board. So I would have inherited significant work, in progress in the pipeline, and therefore what I simply did is continue the work and work towards, a level of excellence. And in terms of the performance, I mean, we can look at two dimensions, the quantitative and the qualitative. From the quantitative side, most recently, about 2 weeks ago, we would have, submitted, and announced our profit for 2022, approximately $2.3 billion, and that was, based on our audited financial statement. And I think that would have, sounded, and actually projected, good performance, of course, driven by market conditions, prices of commodities, and so on. But very importantly, I think it was also based on the hard work of the staff of the various companies in the group. Without them, we would not have been able to achieve these targets. So yes, commodity prices, yes, market conditions, but we cannot forget the men and women who get up in the morning and come to the various plants, come to various offices and do their work. So I feel very good about that. On the qualitative side, we have been doing significant work, as I indicated yesterday, in the space of environmental, social, and governance. I mean, we would have progressed our green agenda, and we would have been doing work in the communities, fence-line communities, lending support to various groups, in relation to culture, the arts, sport, academia, and so on. So I think we are progressing well, and it's simply about, as I told staff most recently on Friday, it is now time to move to a position of from good to great.
Dr. Vernon Paltu, president of National Energy. National Energy has quite a large footprint here in Trinidad and Tobago, in spite of being a relatively lean, mean machine, as they say. What are your focus areas? Before we go into the future, tell me what's been your priorities and your focus areas in the last couple of years. It has been an incredibly exciting development in Trinidad and Tobago, all the things, the laundry list of about 9 different high-profile, commendable achievements for the country. At the helm of National Energy, what have you been focusing on in the last year or two, and what are you focusing on as we look to the future?
So thank you, Shelly, and good morning to the audience. As Chairman said, what we do is on behalf of the country, Trinidad and Tobago. So at National Energy, we, in essence, develop projects, energy-based projects on behalf of the country. And in the last few years in particular, Shelly, what would have transpired is that with the shortfall or with the issues regarding gas supply, we would have taken a very deliberate part in terms of developing projects that are less reliant on gas. And that is where we get into the sustainable energy projects. And those sustainable energy projects fall essentially into three categories: renewable energy projects, energy efficiency projects, and carbon decarbonization projects. So we have been actively working in terms of developing projects in those three areas. And you would see many of those projects coming into fruition. I mean, there were announcements in the past year. For example, Project Lara would have taken from conceptualization with the Ministry of Energy on final investment decision. We are also developing a Super ESCO project on energy efficiency. And more importantly, we're working on a long-term plan for decarbonization of the entire energy sector through the production of green hydrogen. That's a long-term project that will take into account all of the other parts that play into the sustainable energy arena. So that has been a critical focus for us in terms of ensuring that we future-proof the energy industry in Trinidad and Tobago. But beyond that, we have a focus in terms of driving efficiency within our operations, our port and estate operations. And with that comes the third arm of our business, which is regional expansion on behalf of the country, driving energy services.
Tell me about that. We know that your profile has been growing quite rapidly. National Energy has been making quite an impression in two countries in particular, Guyana and Suriname. Tell me how that's going.
So, in essence, what we are looking at is understanding that Trinidad and Tobago is a mature energy province. That is the reality. And particularly with the discovery of hydrocarbons in both Guyana and Suriname, there's an opportunity for us to work together for the benefit of the entire region. There's no secret that, together we will have a much stronger value proposition as a region. And so in terms of energy security, energy supply, and even price, it gives us a unique position if, we are able to come together and provide a united front. So we have been actively working with entities, as you correctly said, specifically both in Guyana and Suriname. And there has been significant progress towards, getting to mutual goals that benefit the entire region. So, for example, as our Prime Minister indicated yesterday, we would have signed an MOU with the government of Suriname last year. And that in itself represents an opportunity for us to forge relationships and alliances to build industries, both from an upstream sector right down to downstream. In fact, the entire value chain. But more than anything else, it allows us the opportunity to share skills and share expertise as, we want to enable our neighbors and our friends to be able to get to where we are in a much shorter time than we took to get for where we got here.
Dr. Khan, you must be very proud when you hear, the vision and the direction of some of your presidents working with you, like Dr. Paltu. What is your vision now, sitting at the helm of the companies, all of them? When you look to the future, what are you seeing? What are your thoughts? What's your vision for this conglomerate that you lead?
Yes, thanks for that. And yes, I'm very proud of all my companies and my presidents, the various leaderships within those companies. Without them, again, we would not be at where we are today. So I always like to give recognition to the men and women, firstly, of the companies. In terms of the vision, or my vision, or may I say the vision of the board, because I represent a wider group, and we share something in common. And we share the vision where we want to see a group of companies working in harmony with our stakeholders, both internally, externally. Of course, our main shareholder, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, the Ministry of Energy, and really being in harmony with their policies, their mandates, as it relates to energy security, energy affordability, energy sustainability. We want to be that value creator, as Dr. Paltu indicated, the work that we have been doing in the local, regional, and international space. We want to be a value creator to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And that is why the vision continues to be part of the upstream, midstream, downstream. So we are in the whole value chain and value system. So it's really about being in harmony. It's about being a value creator. It's really about ensuring that the country and the people of the country can benefit significantly, not just financially, but also socially and environmentally as well, while we apply good governance. And one other thing I would like to see from an internal point of view, I would like to see us really synergize within the group of companies. And the synergies I speak of is one that will allow us to have economies of scale, economies of scope, where we can have better operational efficiency, organizational effectiveness, and we can really operate as a family. That is really what I want to see. No disturbances, innovative thinking, creation, and creative minds coming together to really offer Trinidad and Tobago a sound product in the energy space.
Both of you sit in a very interesting seat in the sense that you're at the helm of state enterprises. A state enterprise is no easy feat. There's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. You are essentially accountable not just to a government, but to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Everyone walking in the streets, everyone has a sense of ownership and a sense of rights to that company because it is a state enterprise. What are some of the critical elements? I'll start with you, Dr. Paltu, of driving a successful state company. And what do you think about when you are mapping out your plans for the future and where you want to go? And then I'll come to you, Dr. Kanoff, though.
And I think that's a very important perspective, Shelly, simply because, as you correctly said, this is done on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And for us to be able to deliver and to have any measure of success, it is, critical for not the leadership, but rather the employees to understand and to participate in that whole process of embracing that this is not done for a company, this is not done for yourself, this is done on behalf of the country and for all of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. And I think, a company is only as strong as its employees. I firmly believe that. And from our perspective, we build that culture where it is, it's all embracive and all cooperative conversation towards shaping that strategy. So while it is that we do this on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, our employees are part of that entire decision-making process in understanding that every one of them has a part to play in the future of this country. And I think, that gives us the drive to ensure that we deliver day in, day out on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So, in summary, I would say, we are only as strong as the people that serve us.
Dr. Khan.
I think underpinning what Dr. Paltu has said is, for me, where I sit, good governance, effective governance. And embedded in that is, the respect for all, recognizing that we operate within a multi-ethnic environment, generational, and so on. And I think it is very important that we respect people's views, we respect the ideas, so we allow ideation to take place. We have an open forum where we allow collaboration and again, synergies and so on to take place. But I think good governance is a platform where that could take place, where we can set the policies and procedures and the processes to allow that to happen. But again, for good governance to take place, we have to trust, we have to respect, we have to honor, and so on. So I think those are key ingredients, for us to really progress as a people and as a company.
So you've been remarkably successful in straddling that so far to this point. What do you say to people watching right now who hear these words, but they want to live it and they want to execute it? When you talk about good governance and you talk about transparency and accountability and collaboration and so on, what would be some of the key takeaway pieces of advice you would give to someone, some of the smaller operators who are here? You are NGC in Trinidad and
Yes.
Tobago and the Caribbean, you have a mega footprint. What would be some of the advice you would give to people who want to, you know, live good governance and not just speak the words?
Well, from a practical standpoint, I think you need to have a team of corporate secretaries, compliance officers, an audit executive that believes in doing the right thing.
Mm.
And once there's that alignment, then I think you could take it to the next step where you can now translate that and allow it to be disseminated to others. You know, in that way, you can actually, you know, walk the talk. But you have to start by believing in the principles of good governance and not just utilizing these words and language, you know, because it's a nice to say. But I think having a team, and I must say within the NGC group, that's something that we would have built. You know, I would have strengthened it coming on board, where I have what we call a governance squad, you know, across the group of companies. And that has significantly helped me. It keeps everyone in line. It allows us to be compliant. It allows us to ensure that whatever we do is auditable, right? And when we make decisions, anyone could scrutinize us. And at the end of the day, it's really about ensuring that we have these mechanisms so that transparency can actually now be the default.
Mm. To both of you, I want to just ask you to comment real quick. One of the comments that the Prime Minister made yesterday in passing when he was speaking, he said that the traditional oil and gas sector is under attack. You know, how do you see the situation given what NGC and National Energy's mandates have been? How do we deal with this, and how have you been dealing with it? Because it's not news to you both. You've been dealing with a transition of sorts for a while now. Dr. Paltu?
So, from that perspective, Shelly, I think Prime Minister and as well as our line minister, Minister Young, would have said that correctly in that fossil fuels will continue to play a critical role in our economy, and not our economy, but the global economy. We, as a country, have to find a way and a balance in terms of ensuring that we build a future energy sector that is decarbonized, but also sustainable. And that involves a fossil fuel, which we do. And there is no reason, as our chairman would have said as well, that we at NGC and National Energy cannot work together with the relevant stakeholders, both locally and regionally, to ensure that we have the necessary systems, processes, as well as mechanisms in place to ensure energy security and affordability for all of the citizens, not just Trinidad and Tobago, but the region. I'm saying that we have the know-it-all right here within Trinidad and Tobago and the region to allow us to get to that point. So we just have to work together to get there.
Dr. Khan?
Well, I don't know if I could add much to last point, because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is balance and have a proper energy mix, right? Energy matrix. And you know, to ensure that we again focus on the energy trilemma as it relates to, you know, security, affordability, sustainability. So I think, you know, Prime Minister was dead on point. But what we are doing is looking ahead, looking forward 5, 10, 15, 20, you know, 20 years. I think we have taken that approach within the NGC group, within National Energy, within Labitco, Phoenix Bad Gas, and so on. And that is why we are players in all aspects of the value chain. So we have taken that on board. We truly believe that, you know, the challenges are there. But like with any, you know, other challenges, there are possible solutions and alternatives. And because of the think tank mechanism we have at the NGC group, I think we have been able to weather the storm well. And we will continue to do so with the support of Prime Minister, with the support of the Ministry of Energy, and very importantly, our Minister of Energy, who has been championing in this regard.
Now, I want you to paint me a picture of where you see the group, your company, specifically National Energy, in 5 years, where you see the group in 5 years. And I say that because in Trinidad and Tobago, National Energy and NGC, they're at the helm of a groundbreaking initiative and I will let you tell viewers a little bit about it. The gas station in Couva. It was a success moment. It was a great thing. It was a beautiful thing. Tell us a little bit about that project, and then paint us a picture of what kind of projects we expect to see in 5 years.
So, Shelly, that project in Couva was a very collaborative project.
Yes.
NGC CNG was the key driver. We worked with them in terms of the renewable energy part, and NGC was obviously involved together with NP and the Ministry of Energy. So that's what collaboration is.
Yes.
We all work together and achieve success.
Collaboration was one of the key words so far in the conference that we keep hearing up, and this to me has been an example of proper collaboration.
Absolutely. And building on that, I'm saying that we have grown from strength to strength, and you'll see many additional initiatives, as I said, both in renewable energy and hydrogen sustainable energy, as Minister said yesterday. And it will grow, and it is not just locally, it's regionally as well. So in 5 years, we expect to see a very dynamic energy industry that involves both progressive development of clean fossil fuel production, as well as sustainable energy projects, low carbon projects, thereby augmenting our industry to ensure that it is sustainable for decades to come, right? And at the same time, we will be working with our partners regionally to ensure that they enjoy the benefits of their resources as well. And that is not just the Southern Caribbean, but the Northern Caribbean as well, in terms of renewable energy projects. There's a whole host of opportunity that we are working closely with governments and private sector throughout the entire region to ensure that we have a proper balance, but at the same time, understanding that our resources are for us, the people of the region.
Dr. Khan, we talk about, the next 5 years and where you see the company. We've also been talking about creating value. We've been talking about future proofing. How do you see the next 5 years?
Yes. So we have a number of projects in the pipeline, no pun intended. And of course, last week we also launched our revised company, which is NGC Green. What we're going to be seeing is basically, more asset integrity management programs and projects, strengthening some of our pipeline infrastructure, gas exploration, hopefully, of course, renewable investments, greening of our ports, Galeota, Labidco, and so on. So you're going to see a lot of that. But what I really want to ensure once I sit here is to ensure that there is wealth creation for all. The amount of work and projects that I believe will be happening, the small contractors and service providers and SMEs and so on, should be able to participate and participate well. I continue hearing the language, we don't have the capacity, we don't have the capacity. I don't think that is true. I think we do have capacity in Trinidad and Tobago. Of course, it may be, necessary to tighten and strengthen because, as you know, the world around us is changing, technology is changing, and so on. And sometimes small contractors or SMEs may not have the resources to keep up, and so on. So I would like to possibly embark on an intervention where small contractors could be, worked with in the energy space and really create a sector, an industry where we can bring back, the small businesses into the fray. And when that happens, everyone will benefit. The people of Trinidad and Tobago will benefit.